eventually approaching US 65, the Dumas area, within about 15 minutes. This is very fast moving. It's really quickly ramped up in the last few minutes, and we expect this probably to hold together for at least the next 5 to 10 minutes. It is embedded in rain, so it would be very hard to see. In the last couple of scans, the Little Rock radar really do not show any weakening. I'll go ahead and go street by street here. This is coming up along Arkansas Highway 54, right on Garrett Bridge. That's where the circulation is currently, right near Garrett Bridge. And that is going to be in the southeast section of Lincoln County. And I expect that this is going to really follow Highway 54 up towards Mitchellville, just across the Deshay County line. I'm going to call out a couple of spots close to where this is at. Anderson Chapel Baptist Church, up towards the Hudson Landing Strip, and over into, on the other side of the county line, Reedville and Mitchellville, all are in the path of this area of rotation. I'm going to look at the debris signature to see if we have anything just yet, and it is possible, though maybe very difficult to pick that up this far from the radar since we are looking down to southeast Arkansas. I will tell you, though, as a very impressive area of rotation that we have here coming up on Garrett Bridge. So if you're in the east side of Lincoln County, northwest side of Deshay County, seek shelter immediately. It's not just me in here this afternoon. Chief Meteorologist Barry Brandt also here with me. And Barry, what do you think?
Yeah, we do have now another tornado warning. So James, just really in the last few minutes, we've seen that center of circulation west of Dumas, and there's another one now down into Drew County. This is an area that hasn't had a ton of rainfall. There is some rain out in advance of it.
All right, Barry, your mic is turned off. Let's make sure we've got you on.
Turn this on?
Yeah, I think.
Sorry.
Okay, I was just turned off.
Okay. Maybe you'll have me now.
All right, we got you now.
Another tornado warning that is active now down into Drew County. And let's go ahead and take a look at both of these storms on our other source, our storm scan, if we can. And you'll see the area there in southeast Arkansas, northeast of Tyro, and also now northeast of Monticello. And that's the area that we're going to have to watch as we go over the next, I think, 15 minutes. What these things have been doing is kind of ramping up, and then they've been decreasing some. But if you're in either of these areas, including the area just to the northeast where the greens and the reds come together, right there, moving between Florence and Selma, and eventually over toward Winchester, which is just north of McGee, and then this one in Tyro. And this has a more impressive signature, I think, along with it. If we can go back to the other source, Max 2 there, I'll show you what we're talking about. This is the current one. This is all part of a line. So this is embedded within the line, little notches right there with some inflow coming back in. That's just the reflectivity. So this has just been one line, and it's really been sort of tame until now, when we get some sort of velocity, some wind that's moving in different directions. And I will show you the velocity signature on both of these. James, this one doesn't look as strong. We're on Florence Road there, County Road 127, Peach Orchard Road. And that, again, if we pull back out, you'll see Florence, you'll see the little town of Selma. It's all along Highway 138 running through northeastern Drew County, but that, where the reds and the greens come together, there is some sense of circulation right there. It is not as strong as the one up to the north, and we're seeing right out to the west of Dumas and Mitchellville.
We have a debris signature near Garrett Bridge. This is a long ways away from Little Rock radar, Barry, so this could be a strong tornado that we have down between Garrett Bridge and Avery, just to the north of Garrett Bridge. That's north of Highway 54.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about right there. That's a debris signature. That's a dropout in the debris detector, and that does indicate that debris is being lofted up. So at least initially, and that was the one that looked a lot stronger. That's the one we really have to watch. If you're in that area, I'd say all the way from Dumas and Mitchellville and Reedville, right along Highway 65 there, you've got to be in a safe spot with these storms. James, any other things that you can see along with that? We're going to go back to the radar there.
I think this has been down for just a minute or so, and it lines up pretty well with the area of rotation. The area of rotation still looks very strong. I'll tell you right now, this this tornado, and if I can go street by street here on Max 1, we're just over County Road 30, coming up on Grapevine Road. That's also Arkansas 293. That is where we have a tornado down right now, and this is just to the south of Avery. Now, we're in the southeast section here of Lincoln County. I think this is going to go towards the south of Gould and maybe towards the north of Dumas, but if you're anywhere along that section of US 65 that runs between Dumas and Gould and Reedville and Mitchellville, get into a safe spot right now because we do know that we do have probably a tornado touchdown. It does look like maybe it was a brief touchdown. The color not quite as pronounced there on the debris detector here on the last scan. We're getting scans very quickly here, but I think, Barry, it may be inflow is getting cut off towards the south, so hopefully that continues.
Yeah, perhaps that storm down to the south is beginning to affect a little bit, or running into an area that's had a little bit of rain, not quite as unstable. But those are the two storms that we're looking at. You can see the bright reds there and some green, and we're really going away. That is still from the Little Rock radar there. It's kind of between the Little Rock and Jackson, Mississippi radar. But what James was mentioning, if we can go back to Max 2 here, is the debris detector, and that still is a dropout. There's still debris being lofted in the air, but it's not like just one scan ago. And I'm going to go back and just show you what we mean. Just go back one scan, and you can see that area right there. Obviously, something being lofted up into the air, and that's a confirmation of a tornado that was actually on the ground. And then you go back before that, and there wasn't much to it, but it did kind of ramp up very briefly. I think if you're in that area, though, if you're anywhere from that storm, that little hook right there, from Gould down to Reed and Mitchellville, right, along Highway 65, Reedville and Mitchellville, right there. Those two communities, especially in the Reedville area, please get into the lowest floor of your home. If we can go back over to our storm scan radar or other source, and I'll show you right through this area. There it is. Pardon me. You can see it. It will cross the Highway 65 corridor, those bright reds and greens there coming together in a very small area. The velocity product is really what we're looking at. And let's go back to our other source because I can kind of point things out on that, but it shows the same thing. And if we can go back to Max 2, and I will show you that area it's probably crossing Highway 65 right now. And there it is right there. So between Gould and Dumas, that would be the most likely spot. There has been debris associated with this. And if we go a little bit closer in, you can see some of the roads there. State Police Road, Reedville Road, County Road 27. But it will be crossing the 65 corridor right there as in the next, in fact, it probably already has a little processing time on there, so it has crossed Highway 65. We're not completely sure. It still has something on the ground, but debris-wise, it doesn't quite line up like it did, James, but it might still be lagging a little bit. This is the debris back behind here when the actual storm itself is right here, so it takes a while. I think that's the debris still. I think we still have is right here, so it takes a while. I think that's the debris still.
It still lines up pretty well if that's what that could have been.
Yeah.
Looks like the actual storm may be quickly starting to weaken. You look at reflectivity and kind of what it was, doesn't look as impressive over the last couple of scans. There's just so much going on. There's so much rain in that area. Still rotation, though. If you're north of Dumas, Reedville, Mitchellville, stay in your safe place. Probably at least a low-hanging wall cloud there. Down towards the southeast part, that's Drew County. This does not include Monticello. This does include Winchester and areas along Highway 138 down towards Florence. Still weak rotation down in that region. So don't forget, I know we didn't have a confirmed touchdown in this area, but if you are in this area, we could at any moment. These storms could produce pretty brief tornadoes. So make sure that you're remaining in your safe spot. That's going to be on the interior of your home. Away from windows is your best bet. So the situation right now is with 2 tornado warnings. We are closely monitoring storms in northern Louisiana. There is one that we're going to have to keep a close eye on that's near Eudora right now with strong rotation with that storm. Barry, that seems to be a pretty good scan there from the debris detector on Storm Scan.
Yeah.
It's kind of had it pretty well there.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less than it was, but there's still obviously a dropout there. And we'll look at more. Yeah, it shows up a little better on Storm Scan. But again, if you're going across, if you're in that vicinity between Gould and Dumas, there apparently has been a touchdown there. And there's the what you're talking about, south of Eudora. I mean, in just the far southeasternmost corner of our state, there is some rotation also crossing Highway 65 there. It looks like rotation is south of the city center in Eudora.
Yeah, the Weather Service says they think that's a possible debris drop out there coming up on US 65. But it's just hard to tell with how far away the radar is. So we're just going to assume that
that is the Jackson radar. So
we've got something.
I think it could have produced a tornado as well.
I do want to point out real quick, the circulation I'm looking at is south of Eudora. This storm had a tornado warning on it on the Louisiana side. Go ahead, if you're in Eudora, over towards the Mississippi River, that'd be towards Grand Lake. Seek shelter. I think we do have enough rotation here in this part of the state that you should be mindful of the storm that's down in the far southeast corner of Arkansas. That's still the Channel 7 viewing area. And I think that this is very quickly going to move across the Mississippi River here, like in the next 5 minutes. But for those of you in that far southeast corner of the state, this is actually going to be southeast of Eudora, right along US 65. It might not be a bad idea to keep an eye on that storm and seek shelter just for a few minutes. There's some very heavy rain with this storm as well. That's not tornado warned, but it's something I'm watching. We've got another tornado warned storm back in North Louisiana that could end up getting into Arkansas. Of course, we've got to watch all these other spots along the line here for about the next hour before these storms clear out of Arkansas. For us, we're dealing with 2 tornado warnings covering almost all of US 65 between Tiller and Gould. All of that is under a tornado warning. Now, of course, not everybody's going to be affected by a tornado, but there's 2 strong areas of rotation, one of them being just coming up on Dumas and the other one in the far northeast section of Drew County. Both areas, I think you need to be in a tornado safe spot. It did appear that we had some type of a debris dropout on radar coming up on the backside of the storm, Barry, and it's very weird to look at on radar because it really isn't matching up with velocity anymore. So I'm not certain that that's a tornado that's down anymore. Maybe it's just debris falling back down. I think at least we had a brief tornado. It's raining heavily in Dumas now with the rotation there. And it's getting really messy in there, Barry. I think it.
Yeah, I still think if you're, it's a tornado warned area. So just north of Dumas, or really in Dumas, go ahead and just get into the safe spot. Hopefully you're already there. The sirens should be going off in the city. If not, just get into that safe spot. These storms are moving at about 45 miles per hour. They're going to move fairly quickly. But I agree. I think the whole rotation there is not quite what it was, a little more broad, but that is certainly a strong storm. And I'm going to go back and just show you the velocity product on these 2 storms. And yeah, that doesn't look as impressive as it did. There is obviously a broad area of rotation there with greens and reds coming together, but not like it was. And the same thing up to the north of Dumas. But we're going to assume places like Mitchellville that there is a tornado, or at least has been a tornado. So let's just watch this storm very closely as it moves over toward 165. And Highway 212 then just on up to the northeast of there. It'll quickly then be out of the Arkansas area. I'm going to show you just the radar. Sometimes we get so hyper-focused on what's happening, but this is all part of a line that doesn't have much time left in Arkansas, and that's a good thing. But as this storm has progressed into an area that is really unstable air, it had enough potential for rotation, and obviously a couple of storms tapped into that potential. Also watching that storm far southeast Arkansas around Eudora, but that one will be over some largely rural area of the state for a few more minutes. If you're south of Eudora, though, you need to go ahead and be in that tornado safe spot. as this moves on through. Velocity-wise on this storm, yeah, there's still some weak rotation along with it right there. There's the Mississippi River. It will be crossing very quickly. In fact, probably already has crossed over. The next scan should show that. And as far as debris is concerned with that, hard to tell. Long way from the radar site right there. Let's go back to the velocity product on two storms, one approaching Winchester. And I'm going to say if you're along Highway 138 right there, real messy right there, but that's from Little Rock, and it's a long way. It's looking through a lot of distance. It's looking at the higher part of the cloud because of the curvature of the Earth. But if you're within this area along Highway 165 here, please go ahead and take cover within this area, along and to the north of Highway 138 and along Highway 165 right there. Highway 159 kind of spurs off of that in the Winchester area. Go ahead and get into that safe spot because this storm could ramp back up or could be producing something right now. Although it doesn't, if we look at the debris detector, it doesn't maybe look as likely that is happening. But we're gonna watch. It's just, again, the product is a little bit messy. As we look to the north, on the northern storm, it's north of Dumas, very close to Dumas right now, and there still is that potential, James, with this probably certainly a lowering of the cloud base there, maybe a wall cloud, and we don't know if anything is on the ground or not. Looking at the debris, yeah, there could be some leftover debris right there.
Yeah, I think if something went through US 65, the Arkansas State Police have a headquarters that's very close down in that part of the state. So I want to just kind of take a broad view of the two storms that we're watching, both of them impacting US 65 at this time in southeast Arkansas. One area of rotation just to the north of Dumas, moving through there, and now getting to the other side of US 65, the other area of rotation still there, getting closer to 165 US 65 on Winchester, near Winchester. Both tornado warnings are in effect for about 10 more minutes. What will usually happen with these types of storms is the rotation does not hold up long enough for additional tornado warnings to be issued. And right now, looking at the storm near Winchester, it looks like we did have a little bit of an increase in rotation, but still one of these storms where you just have to take precautions. Make sure you're inside, away from windows, and make sure that you're doing what you have to do to keep yourself safe during these storms. The back edge of these storms, both of them, are now almost all the way through Dumas and completely over US 65. So we're about to see some clearing and an all clear. I'm about ready to give an all clear if you're west of US 65. These storms are about to be moving east further into Deshay County, and especially this one just to the north of Dumas. It wouldn't surprise me if the tornado potential with this one north of Dumas really began to decrease just because of all the rain that is occurring off towards the south. It's tough for warm air to get pulled up around all this rain. But wind fields are very strong today, and we thought this might be an issue, and we have our first tornado warnings and likely our first Arkansas tornado of 2025. And I think it occurred just north of Garrett Bridge, and I think that was confirmed with the radar, even at a great distance away from this area. The Little Rock radar is the one that would have confirmed that. Still have rotation there in far northeast Drew County, coming up on Yukon, Omega, Winchester, right along US 65. Those few areas, pretty common for people to travel through. If you're in those areas, just hunker down for just a few more minutes. Up towards Dumas, you've got Delta Memorial on the south side of town. I think Dumas may actually be in between all these circulations. So Dumas is under the tornado warning, but I think the threat nearly is over for Dumas. It's right now further towards the south, towards Winchester. So still just two tornado warnings in the state. The two storms in northern Louisiana continue to bear watching, and the two storms along the line further towards the south also bear watching. We've got starting to really watch the storm that's in the southern part of Drew County. Doesn't look like it's rotating right now, but I do think as it moves east, it may decide to as it approaches Dermott and McGee. Still 7 more minutes for both these tornado warnings in southeast Arkansas. The National Weather Service, haven't heard from them in a little bit, but I imagine they're going to consider canceling the warning if we don't have an increase in rotation in either of these spots, Barry. I think about 10 minutes ago, both these looked a little bit more impressive than they currently are. But it's hard for storms to continually stay in a state of producing a tornado when it's surrounded by rain. So you get brief tornadoes, and I think that's what we've had so far.
I agree. I think there's just so much rain around that area. I do want to show you temperatures, though. It's already getting a lot colder. It's already down to 37 in Fayetteville. You can see the front has passed by Russellville right now. It's past Mena, but it's going to take a little while for it to come on down, but it will surely come on down, and when it does, temperatures are going to just plummet in our state. Still very warm, like Monticello at 67 degrees, so there's some spots that could be up towards 70 degrees. We're going to go back to the live Doppler network and the reflectivity product along Highway 165. That looks really kind of messy right now. Not the rotation that we saw earlier. Still tornado warned. This is the box here. Winchester, Yukon, Omega, those tiny communities right there along Highway 165, 159, and to the north of 138 in that part of the state. As we head up to the north, this storm does not look nearly as impressive as it did, the one to the north of Dumas. You don't see that clear bright reds and greens coming together right there, which would indicate winds going away from and toward the radar site in a small area, a lowering of the cloud base and a possible tornado. And James mentioned it. Just look at all the rain. What these storms are doing is pulling in air from the south, really. And you can see right now, there's just a lot of rain out there. That is rain-cooled air. 67 was the last hourly reading at Monticello, but it's not 67 there anymore, in all likelihood, with the rain that came through. So this is cooled air as it is ingested into the storm. And they really need hotter air than that. They like to be out by themselves where they can get all the good, unstable air. And these don't really fit that bill. But they have kind of, at least briefly, rotated. We'll go back. Here's the latest one, and really the velocity product is really now not looking like it did. And I'll show you what it did look like as it was back to the west of Dumas. Yeah, it was a lot more pronounced when it was back in this area around Garrett Bridge, and then as it has gone on to the east, this thing has really, yeah, it's just not as impressive, and that's a great thing. But you're still a tornado warned. You folks are out along Highway 1 over in eastern Arkansas, and that is why we're still watching this storm carefully. But we want to see that trend of getting weaker and weaker and weaker as it goes along. They have dropped the storm. No, there's still the tornado warning.
Their plan is to let both these expire.
Okay.
One spot we're going to have to watch here in the next 10 minutes or so is the northern section of this line segment that's about to get into southern Arkansas County. There's Gillette right there along 165, and you see we've got wind moving towards the radar, wind moving away. That could be the start of a circulation there in the southern part of Arkansas County. In fact, as you're looking at it, you can actually see it starting to turn just a little bit, and if those two areas can start to move closer and closer together, and I'll circle it for you so you can see here a little bit better. We'll bring this full screen. I'll show it to you with a little bit better of a view. But this is, I think, a spot, at least it's going to be a candidate for a tornado warning coming up, and that's southern Arkansas County, and that's going to be south of Gillette there. I think there's rotation that's beginning to increase in that area. It looks weak, but weak rotation has turned into brief, strong rotation here a couple of times today.
And that could be just wind also coming out of that storm.
Definitely could be. But if these two things can get oriented in the right way, that's the area of rotation that I want us to keep an eye on as it moves rapidly towards the east. The Weather Service, again, we're about to get two tornado warnings are about to expire. Both of them expire at 2:30. It looks like the strong rotation they were tracking across both counties earlier is not really as impressive. In fact, Barry, I think one of the more impressive circulations we saw today didn't have a tornado warning and just moved across the Mississippi River southeast of Eudora. It's now in Mississippi. There's another storm moving into the southeast part of the state, and that is in the Channel 7 viewing area right there at the Louisiana border on US 65. That's pretty strong rotation from the Jackson, Mississippi radar. And so I would caution all of you down there again, southeast of Eudora, Redland, Grand Lake. That's another area of strong rotation. And it wouldn't surprise me if that got a tornado warning here soon. The two warnings closer to central coastal to southeast Arkansas are about to expire. And for the moment, we'll just be watching whatever is south of Gillette.
Yeah, and the one south of Gillette, I think it does really bear watching. So you folks in Gillette, right there, along 165, we're just watching that area. I think there's probably big winds coming out of this, but James mentioned it earlier, and we've been talking about these things don't like to have competition as far as warm, humid air. And really, there's a lot of rain out in advance of this. And the storm motion is moving up to the northeast in areas, it looks like to me, that has had rain over the last hour. And that just stabilizes the atmosphere to a great extent. So while these could be strong, and I want you folks south of Gillette to be very wary of this, for right now, we don't see any obvious sign of rotation, and we can tell that by the velocity product. But yeah, you don't see any winds going away from the radar site. You see some coming kind of toward the radar site, but there's just a lot. There's a lot of wind energy there, but there's not a lot of rotation right now. I just want you to be very wary of that area. And by the way, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. That yellow box has been extended on out, but not a tornado warning. And these two, for including Dumas, just went away. They at 2 o'clock they were set to go away. So it is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and this has been covered now by a severe thunderstorm warning. The great news is there's a lot of rain around there, and that does not lend itself to rapid increase in these storms or its ability to rotate. And that's great news. We want that. We want more rain than we do areas that are out kind of by themselves. And briefly, these storms down to the south were kind of out by themselves. There's a lot of competition there, a lot of cooling. And so we'll just watch this until it moves over the Mississippi River. It's moving at a pretty fast clip. So this is not going to be an all afternoon long thing. Down to the south, we see a couple of tornado warnings. One that will go away there in northeastern parts of Louisiana, the parishes down there. And there's another storm right down here and across the border into Louisiana that will be moving up toward Ashley County. I think there's been a lot of rainfall there as well. There is an impressive wind field up above. So any storm that can get going really taps into a lot of that wind energy. It's just getting those storms up and going. And for now, there's only been a handful of storms that briefly had that ability, and then they kind of went away. But we'll continue to watch this over the last little while. You can see it's been raining across Ashley County, kind of a steady rain there, and that doesn't lend itself to an unstable atmosphere. That's a stabilizing force in the atmosphere, but there is a storm that we'll watch coming up out of the parishes of Louisiana. And for right now, we'll just back out. Again, we're on the backside of it here. There's no severe weather threat anywhere behind this line at all. It's just out in advance of it that we're going to have to watch a few of those storms. One that's now out of southeast Arkansas, and the one down in Arkansas County near Gillette that still has some wind potential with it. And velocity-wise, still, James, I don't know. It's trying to do something, but I just think that's...
A lot of strong wind, probably.
Yeah, I think there is wind. And that could be winds higher than we've had. A lot of the National Weather Service information that we've seen so far this afternoon says, we saw these strong storms in South Arkansas, but the maximum gust that we really reported was around 35 miles per hour. So they were underperforming. They were fairly tame. That's why we said that, until we saw the one out to the west of Dumas that may have actually produced a tornado very briefly. There's that area of wind. Now the next radar scan goes to the southeast of Gillette, and it will cross on into the southeastern part of the county there before it moves into the southern part of Phillips County. So that would be the line that would, and then very quickly the Mississippi River comes up right there, and it would move over into, but again, that's just a severe thunderstorm warning. See no obvious sign of rotation along with that storm. And certainly the other ones too don't have that.
The Weather Service in Jackson has placed southern Ashley County under a tornado warning. It doesn't include Crossett. It doesn't include Hamburg. does not include Portland or Parkdale. This is just the central part of Ashley County, and this is actually a storm that's coming up that you just pointed out of southern Louisiana. I actually don't see very much rotation with it from the Jackson radar. It's a little bit easier to see
the Shreveport radar
from the Shreveport radar, and you're just in a radar hole up here, but that is one that we'll have to watch here as storms move. Really, over the next, there's a tornado warning for Eudora now as well. It's a little late on that, Barry. It's
already past.
That's the far southeast corner of the state.
Well, there is,
Oh wow, yeah, that's probably a tornado that's down right there on the Mississippi River. That's going to be east of Highway 8. Yeah. I bet if somebody was down there looking right now, we'd have a tornado in the far southeast corner of Arkansas. Because, Barry, we've seen it a lot of times. You don't get strong circulations from Jackson, Mississippi's radar in southeast Chico County unless something's actually occurring. So probably a good shot. Something's happening right there. It is about to jump the Mississippi River any minute now. So this one is actually going to be out of our hair. But southeast Chico County, and if you live in Eudora, Grand Lake, Redland, any of these areas, you got the alert on your phone. Tornado warning, seek shelter now. Well, the tornado is actually off towards your southeast and has no chance of hitting Eudora. So they draw the warning box bigger than the actual tornado warning. And the tornado would be really on the river, getting ready to move. And I think that's either Washington or Sunflower County, Mississippi.
Yeah, that did ramp up very briefly, but and there could be a couple of homes, a couple of farm homes along Levee Road there. That's right along the levee.
Yeah.
And so it's in that farmland
people do
just
live
on the
there.
other side of the levee.
Yeah. There are people that do live down there.
Yeah, there could be a
right
few
there
homes
close to the river. And so that's pretty strong rotation. And again, that's looking at the radar from Jackson, Mississippi. I've got a storm chaser. He just sent me a picture of a wall cloud, and I think he's on this storm. So I've got a pretty good wall cloud down with that storm. It looks like it may be trying to produce a tornado there. So I'm getting his location. And that storm's all out by itself. That's
exactly. Those are the ones that didn't have any competition.
Supercell, yeah. So a couple tornado warnings now in far southeast Arkansas. The concern the next hour is going to be just these few counties. The eastern half of Drew County, the southeast half of Deshay County, the eastern half of Ashley County, and Chico County. And then this is likely done. So you see where most of our tornado warnings have been so far, as in the southeast part of the state. Thank goodness it's a short-lived event. We've got winter weather up in North Arkansas possible tonight. Some light snow flurries already in northwest Arkansas. So that's winter in Arkansas. We've got all the weather in our state today, including the chance for a tornado. Let me see if Jackson, Mississippi. I'm looking at a video from. It looks like there's definitely a tornado, but I'm not sure where the video is from. There's a video. Jackson, Mississippi chat room posted a video of a tornado, but I'm not sure which storm it's from, whether it's in northern Louisiana or if it's a storm in southeast Arkansas. Actually, Barry, that's in the Little Rock chat room. Southeast Lincoln County. I've got a video of a tornado.
Southeast Lincoln County.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the one near, what was it?
Garrett Bridge, yeah.
Garrett Ridge.
So I'm looking at a video right now from earlier. Yeah, I didn't know what chat room I was in. Earlier, I'm looking at a video of a tornado that was in southeast Lincoln County. So we did have the first. Yeah, sure
looks like it was on the ground, and we kind of mentioned that. Yeah. Certainly looks like it was down for at least a brief time. And that was the Southeast Lincoln County Fire Department. And hopefully we'll have, if you have that video or if you have video from there, please send it to us via chime in at KATV.com. Just look for the chime in. But that was the debris, I think, that we saw being lofted out to the west of Dumas there. And yeah.
All right, I've got, we have a storm chaser. I have a storm chaser friend. He's southwest of Hollandale watching the storm cross the Mississippi River, and he's got a very low wall cloud that he's watching which I'd imagine he's going to be looking at a tornado here very soon. Still looking at very strong rotation there. Not quite onto the river. Well, it might be now.
I think it is. I think it is past.
It's on the river. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's about to be in Mississippi. Cameron Williams, a storm chaser from eastern Arkansas, he's on the Mississippi side of the river looking back towards the southwest. And the picture he just sent me, he's looking at a very low base and likely what could be a tornado there. So, but that is about to move out of the Channel 7 viewing area. So he will continue to watch that storm. The tornado warning for Ashley County has been upgraded to confirmed. So somebody's got eyes on it because Barry, the rotation doesn't show anything. But as that moves towards the northeast, we'll continue to have to see if that tornado stays on the ground.
Yeah. The area of concern up in Arkansas County has, if we can go back to Max 2 and me, there you go, and you can see east of Gillette, something trying to rotate there, but I don't see any winds going away from the radar side of note. And so this is really, there's broad rotation there. There is a thunderstorm there, but certainly nothing that has prompted more of a concern from the National Weather Service and issuing a tornado warning. I'm just going to say, if you're along Highway 165, actually to the east of it there, and I'll go in a little bit closer on these roads, there's Highway 44, Tishner. This is a small community of Tishner out to the east of Gillette and over around Weber. And so it's moving right through that area. Looks like some wind coming out of that storm. Looks like it's trying to wrap in, but that's at a long way away from the radar site. So it's looking up toward the top part of the storm. And so there is some broad rotation there, but not anything that is super alarming with this storm. I'm going to back out a little bit, and I will show you the other storms that are prompting this whole area to be under a severe thunderstorm warning all along this line. We continue to look for rotation within this, but we're not really seeing anything at this time. They have issued that after that storm left southeast Arkansas, there is a tornado warning now in effect, that storm moving toward Hollandale. And there's also another tornado warning that I don't think, no, they just haven't gotten rid of that one yet. But this is another one that is a confirmed tornado. I don't know if there was some debris being lofted up into the air, but it will be moving toward that extreme southern part of Ashley County. This it is moving into an area that just has some steady, fairly light rainfall. And so hopefully this thing will begin to run into just more stable air and won't be able to sustain itself. But it is a storm that's kind of ongoing there. And so I'm going to put this into motion. Storm coming up out of the parishes of Louisiana and will be coming through at this angle, would just brush by southeastern Ashley County and Wilmot, and then move on over into Chico County. But again, we've had some rain within this area, and hopefully that is a sign that this begins to die down fairly rapidly, just much more stable air mass coming our way. But that's the only tornado warning that's in effect for our state, and that's in Ashley County. James, any thoughts on those storms along that line, or anything from your storm chaser down there?
He's about to be closer to that storm that's going into Mississippi. So if there's video of anything, we should know what's going on shortly. Of course, that is across the state line. Now, just looking at this line, we just have to get this line to the Mississippi River. For those of you in southern Chico County, we do have to watch the storm coming out of Louisiana. Also, there's a storm in eastern Shea County that I want us to keep an eye on. It looks like it's starting to rotate just a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't last. But right there, just north of Watson and Pendleton, I believe that's right along the Arkansas River. The last couple of scans showing a little bit of rotation there as it moves towards East Arkansas, or the Mississippi River rather. So it's got a little bit more time in the state, and that's some rotation we're going to definitely keep an eye on. It looks like it might be actually embedded in an area of rain, so very difficult to see. The video of the tornado that I saw in Lincoln County kind of was wrapped in rain as well. Very difficult to see, with just so much cloud cover and rain ongoing around it. The hope is that we're just about done with all this, and I think we are. just got to get through a few more minutes with the possibility of the area of rotation in Deshay County and then Chico County. I think you've got to watch things for about another hour. There's a very large severe thunderstorm warning covering this line of storms, and so that's mainly for high winds up to 60 miles per hour. That is in effect until 3:30. I doubt it's going to need to remain in effect that long because these storms, they're coming up on McGee. Monticello, you have the all clear. Dumas, you have the all clear. And anybody back towards the west, you have the all clear from these storms. They're about to get out of the state, but we've seen several tornado warnings today, now up to 3 or 4 tornado warnings in the state, and I might see 1 or 2 more before these storms exit. We're really watching, I think at this point, Chico County and the southeast section of Ashley County is kind of the main window for the tornado threat, because these storms in Deshay and southern Arkansas County, they're going to push across the river here very quickly. Just going kind of through the line of storms, I mean, there's a lot of wind in there, but I don't see anything that's going to be an immediate tornado producer, kind of like the stuff that's down further towards the south. It looks like, Barry, somebody did report a tornado in North Louisiana, but I don't see anything on the radar that leads me to believe something's down that's moving into Ashley County. So hopefully that picture kind of maintains itself. But for those of you that may be joining us from Lake Village, Jerome, Portland, Parkdale, Eudora, I know we have a lot of viewers down there in southeast Arkansas. Just pay attention. When you go under a tornado warning, just get to your shelter. I will say one positive development is all the rain breaking out from Lake Village back through Jerome, Dermott, up towards McGee, and even down towards Parkdale. Just a lot of rain. So that can kind of cool the air. It doesn't guarantee nothing's going to happen, but it can cool the air. The storm that's across the Mississippi River is a little bit more out by itself and likely will produce a tornado. So there are storm chasers following that one. They're now in Mississippi. So, Barry, it's 2:45. The only warning we have in the state is in the southern section of Ashley County. Mm-hmm. It's a really unimpressive looking circulation with that storm. In fact, I'll just keep saying that the most impressive circulation is southwest of Hollandale, Mississippi, and I'm betting you Cameron Williams, who's down there in Hollandale, he'll be able to tell us. He'll be able to text me here shortly and tell me, yeah, there's something down, or no, there's nothing down.
Yeah, I don't see much with that storm coming in from
coming in
south.
from Ashley County.
Yeah, but it is a long way from the radar site. Northeast of Watson, there is some wind within this storm. It's getting close to the river, but right now that rotating part, or the part that's trying to rotate, will be moving off to the east of the Highway 165 corridor. And we'll continue to back out. Watson is there, but then the river kind of juts back in. So this is the far northeastern corner of Deshay County. It moves like that, and then you have Arkansas County just across the line over here. And so we'll watch this, and we continue to watch that velocity product. That's what we are looking at. And it might be a little more impressive in that scan, maybe just a little bit, but still, the Weather Service, I know, is watching it as it moves over there, and so we'll continue to watch it, too, as it moves into what is largely farmland, but a few farm homes in that area as well. And then we move on down the line, and there are just some other, there's some wind producing, I think, with that storm southwest of McGee, kind of bowing out just a little bit right there. But velocity-wise, yeah, I don't see a lot coming toward Dermott. So just be prepared for some strong and gusty winds. And then as we head to down here, I'm looking from the Shreveport side, from Jackson, and I don't see much with that storm, which is a confirmed tornado signature there with the purple polygon. I just don't see a whole lot with that storm, and we'll continue to watch that as well. And I know they're watching that. They don't want to keep these warnings in effect any longer than possible. But within our viewing area, Ashley County, not technically in our viewing area, but within our viewing area, there are no tornado warnings right now. Within our state, though, that is the only one that we're looking at. And we're going to continue just to watch this for just a little while longer. We'll send you back to programming. We don't want to keep you away from programming any longer than we have to, but your safety is our primary concern. And if it's anywhere in the viewing area, we have to be here, and we want to be here to let people know, because if there is rotation, like we saw out to the west of Dumas, you'd want to know if it was in your part of the state, and we indeed did see that, and apparently there was a tornado touchdown. We have video of that, and we'll have much more coming up on that as well. But there's just a lot of rainfall out there kind of covering that whole area, and that does cool the atmosphere in Chico and Ashley County, southeastern parts of Deshay County as well, and that does not, other than the fact that we have a big wind field up above and a lot of wind to tap into, the surface being cooled by that rain really helps as far as lessening that severe weather threat. It doesn't take it all away. Doesn't mean you won't have some strong gusty winds and some lightning and thunder, but it really is not terribly conducive for tornado development. But we're going to watch a couple more of these storms. I think we got to watch them for a little while longer. There's one storm out to the east of Hamburg, right there. Just some broad, kind of not right next to one another, but that's something I think we have to watch. A storm kind of like that. It's in a severe thunderstorm warning, and so we're going to watch this one in Hamburg as well.
All right, the National Weather Service in Jackson said they have a tornado debris signature near the Arkansas-Louisiana state line, near the White community. Still evident. Velocity is weak, but they're so far from the radar, they are thinking the tornado debris signature has not dispersed. So I'll show you where that is. That's in the far southern section of Ashley County. That's as far south as you can go in the state, and that is where you see White is sitting there back towards the west. So they think we've got a tornado right in here on State Highway 133. And I think that's where that is, and that's going to be moving up towards the northeast very soon to cross Arkansas 425. Again, being so far from the radar, right on the edge of the usable range, it is almost just impossible to determine if there's a tornado or not at this point. So I think they're going to let that tornado warning continue until it expires, until it's evident there's nothing happening, just because that spot specifically in Ashley County has such bad radar coverage. It does improve a little bit as we get into Chico County, but Wilmot, that storm is off towards your southwest. Wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and seek your tornado-safe place. Montrose, I think the storm for you to watch is the one near Hamburg. And then Chico County, just hang tight. No tornado warnings for you yet, but this line's got to get through there before we can give you an all clear, which we're going to be doing here very soon. There's not a whole lot of real estate left for these storms to use in Arkansas, but it will be ending here very, very soon. It looks like the National Weather Service in Little Rock is trimming back some severe thunderstorm warnings from the line that's moving off towards the east. So look at how much progress this line has made in just the course of a few short hours. Over the course of a few short hours, we've got the storms now almost all the way out of Arkansas County, beginning to exit Drew County and the western half of Ashley County. You guys are in the clear. We're actually seeing blue sky now back towards the west across part of central and western Arkansas. Much colder air arrives as we get into the overnight hours. It's going to be a pretty frigid week. Barry, do you have something?
Well, I was just looking at that storm that moved out of Arkansas and is moving toward Hollandale, Mississippi, and I think it probably did produce a tornado, and may have briefly right on the Mississippi River in the southeastern part of our state. We're still looking at this whole area here, and there is that one confirmed tornado, and it's right on the Louisiana and Arkansas border in Ashley County, and they called it a confirmed tornado, and they still think, but it is so far from both the Shreveport and the Jackson radar and from the Little Rock radar. It really is one of those places in the United States that is just not covered terribly well by radar coverage around the state, and that's a real need that we have in meteorology. What I see in that storm is the storm that we're going to have to watch as it moves up into Chico County. So Portland, Parkdale, Wilmot, and moving on up into and that's just a storm that, again, it's our best guess right now. You can see where the storm is, but is there any debris along with this storm? Well, the National Weather Service in Jackson says it's kind of this area right here, but even at that doesn't look terribly impressive. Maybe they saw something a little bit earlier. I'll go back a few frames. Yeah, I think they probably saw something there a little bit earlier, but now it doesn't look as impressive. And again, anybody's guess, but I don't know that that's still a tornado-producing thunderstorm. Maybe it was at one point, but they are exercising caution. They're just going to continue to keep that warning in effect. Otherwise, we are just about out of this. From McGee to Dermot, there's a line of thunderstorms moving through. I'll show you the line as it continues to move on up. Velocity-wise, we'll watch the tail end of that line. There's a little wind trying to rotate perhaps down to the south of Dermot. But this is an area now that has had rain for quite some time. And it should start to stabilize that atmosphere. And I certainly hope so. I'm going to go back some frames. You can see how look at Dermot. It's been raining and raining and raining. And now we see some wind perhaps with that, something trying to rotate on the tail end of it, but certainly not impressive. And that's good news out of all of this. And we're not going to have to deal with it much longer. Weather Service in Jacksonville, new tornado warning, it says, coming for down into Louisiana, but that would be not for us. National Weather Service in Little Rock, a local storm report, and a tornado. They are saying, given the video that we saw, it was on the ground in southeastern Lincoln County. That was out to the west of Dumas, the small community of Garrett Ridge. That was earlier on. But that is the line right now. We don't have much real estate left in Arkansas for it to affect. But the storm that we're watching through Ashley County could affect part of our viewing area, which does include technically in the Chico County. And so Chico County, you are going to be under that, or possibly under another warning as this comes up. But the National Weather Service in Jackson has issuing priority for those counties, so the responsibility for those counties, Ashley and Chico County. And so we're going to continue to stay with this for a little while longer, and it won't last forever. And again, the big story is, folks, it's going to start to get so much colder. It's already down into the mid-30s in Fayetteville, and here in the Little Rock area, I don't know if we have any clear skies breaking out, but I'm going to go to it really quickly. And yeah, we've got a little sunshine starting to come on through. And we'll look at it from the west, still up in the clouds there. But yeah, we've got some sun starting to break out in the Little Rock area. That will be the frontal boundary off in that line right there. James, that is the front, I would say, off in the distance.
All right, I got a report from Blake Morgan, the fire chief there in southeast Lincoln County. So no damage we can find, but it's kind of in a swamp along a bayou. So that's great news. The tornado that we saw north of Garrett Bridge, according to the fire department, he's fire chief there, may have been in a spot where there's no homes. So he said he couldn't find any damage. But he did have video of the tornado, and I'm going to bring that to you coming up tonight at 5 o'clock. Barry, we get rid of severe weather. We turn our attention to winter weather real quick. And I'm not talking about flurries in North Arkansas tonight. It's a little bit maybe larger than that coming down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot more coming, potentially, a lot of moisture with one coming later on this week. And so with cold air in place, James, you've heard me say it before, anything can happen. We will have cold air in place, and you'll really feel it with a blizzard going on, blizzard conditions in northeast Kansas. All right, now that's the wind that's going to be sweeping down into our state. So it's going to get cold, but now that is snow-cooled air as well, and it will be sweeping on down. And it's quite a snowstorm that's on up to the north. We're gonna I'll back out and I'll kind of show you just a large overview of what is happening around here. But you can see this large area up to the north, and our winds are going to come right across that. And then later in the week, we'll have a storm system coming up. James will have a lot more on that coming up. But it certainly will be worth noting because it could certainly affect many travel plans later this week, and he'll have the exact timing coming up. As we look down into southeast Arkansas, no more tornado warnings. There's one storm near Bastrop, Louisiana that looks like it is moving on more of an east-northeast pattern and will probably miss us in Arkansas. Out to the east across it, this is the only storm I think that we're really kind of a little more concerned about. And the National Weather Service in Jackson, I'm going to back out there, still thinks that there is the potential anyway for a tornado warning there. I haven't seen what they've said just recently, but I'll quickly check. New tornado, no.
Yeah, that warning's in effect till 3:30.
Yeah, and
so if they're not issuing a new one, I think they are letting the threat go, or letting the warning go. So we've watched that storm for 15 minutes. I'm not very impressed with the circulation that's there, even though it is far away from the radar. We've had no damage reports from southern Ashley County so far, and the storm really, velocity and on radar, looks pretty unimpressive. So that's good news as that moves into southern Ashley County. Right now, Chico County, no tornado warnings in effect. We'll continue to monitor, and here within the next hour, these storms push across the Mississippi River, and the threat will be over completely. So,
got a couple of spots that are very close to the Mississippi River, and I just want to go over real briefly, and I've got just the velocity mode turned on these storms, and one is out to the, kind of on the northeast side of Dermot. So we're talking about Highway 165, and there it is. It's just kind of a broad rotation. There's a little away and a little toward, but over a broad area. Certainly nothing that would alert us as far as a tornado warning, but I'm just going to look at that storm, and it does have some wind along with it, I would think, as 165 breaks off of 65 there east of Dermot, kind of where they split apart out to the east of Dermot. And then the other one that I'll watch it's pretty unimpressive now, just this latest scan out to the east of McGee, but this is just a line of storms that will have some gusty winds along with it, and apparently did have one time that it did produce a tornado out in southeastern Lincoln County. But I don't see a lot going on. James, I know we have one tornado warning that's in effect for Ashley County, but I think things are quieting down quite a bit now.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stream of this on our Facebook audience, and if you join us through Facebook, we really appreciate it, and hopefully this is a good way for you to get weather information. If you have a comment where you have something that's happening, whether it's rain, snowing, wherever you are in the state, comment where you're from. We'd love to know what weather's happening at your location. Comment where you're from, and if you ever get pictures of weather, today it could have been severe weather. Later this week, it's going to be winter weather. You can send it to us at KATV.com/chime in. You can send it to my Facebook page. You can send it to Barry's Facebook page. We're always checking to see if anybody has sent any pictures. But it's one thing for us to forecast it. I think it's a lot better when we can show you a picture of what is actually happening, whether it's severe weather, a great sunrise, or maybe some snow later this week.
All right, we're going to continue to watch this for just a little while longer. I just don't know that we're seeing a tornado within this area up into Ashley County. Jackson Weather Service has been very, very quiet on this storm as well. And we don't want to keep you away from programming any longer than we have to. And I think as we get these storms up to the north, a little closer to the river, and again, we're going to watch this storm out to the east of Dermot, but I think it's a wind producer right now. And we'll watch other storms up the road. Look at the velocity product there. I don't see any rotation anywhere really else along that line. I think we will send back to programming in just a few minutes, folks, keeping an eye on this, and we'll let you know what the Jackson Weather Service does with this storm if they extend that out. It's nearing kind of the eastern edge of the tornado watch box right now, but I wish they would give us a little sense of what they're thinking with it, but they haven't done that yet.
I think they just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Chico County, so okay. I think in their mind that is to cover these storms headed their way. So they're busy with the storm in Mississippi, understandably.
Yeah.
I think they're going to let this tornado warning go. We don't see any reason to stay on it. It looks rotation's very weak. It's really just one more county to watch, southeast Ashley and Chico counties, and we'll be doing that here in the next hour.
James, there is just one spot, and I'm just going to show you this, out to the southeast of Hamburg. right there. And that is, again, it's looking at the, I'll tell you how high up this is. It's got to be on the order of 10,000 feet up that it's looking at.
Yeah.
So even if there is rotation within that storm, we're looking at almost 11,000 feet up with this storm. So that doesn't mean that at the surface that this is producing anything, and that looks weak as it is. So that would be just outside the scope of the tornado warning as well. And so they have issued that for Chico County. And I think we're going to send this as this tornado warning, as the storm that produced this tornado warning is now out of Ashley County. I think this is the time that we can probably send it back to programming for at least a little while, letting you know, Chico County, that we are not abandoning you on this storm. We just don't see anything really that is rotating. And I'll look just kind of one more time. But
So
they
shrunk that warning down and took the confirmed tag off of it.
Yeah.
There in Ashley County.
So just the storm between Dumas and Arkansas City, right there. I don't know. Anything that you see with that one, James?
Yeah, it's right there approaching the Mississippi River. There's so much rain right there. Certainly could get enough maybe for a brief tornado, but I don't see anything from the Weather Service in Little Rock. Kind of looking at a probability-based map, I don't see much either. Excuse me.
And just as we say that, they are going to They are going to issue a tornado warning.
All right.
Well, that's storm. Southern DeShay County near Arkansas City, and so if you're in that area. I'm glad we noticed this. It's not going to be with us for very long at all, but they are going to issue a tornado warning for briefly. And I'm going to show you here. James, just show them.
All right,
that.
I'm going to call
Arkansas
out
City is right on. There it is, right there. There's the Mississippi River. There's the potential rotation north of Halley. That's Highway 159, and that is going to be under a tornado warning. And we're going to stay with this until it gets to right there. And so Southern DeShay County. This is Highway 4. Right here, and there's the next scan. Doesn't look quite as pronounced as it did last time. So I think this was a brief rotation, and now maybe coming back down. But again, the tornado warning has been issued. It's a tiny little tornado warning that will affect the area along Highway 4 in southeastern DeShay County.
Yeah, I've got some roads pulled up. Right there at Halley, Arkansas 159 towards north towards Tripp Junction, Arkansas Highway 4 over to Arkansas City. All spots, if you're in that region, very quickly get into a tornado safe spot, interior of your house, away from windows. This storm is moving quick. I mean, it's going to be at the Mississippi River. I'd be surprised. I didn't look at the expiration time. If it's more than a 15-minute tornado warning, they do have that option. But just like what we saw in Lincoln County, we could get a quick little tornado that gets down for a brief moment. And so right now the circulation is right near Arkansas 159, north of Halley and south of Tripp Junction, moving northeast. It is going to take it in the direction of Arkansas City there in the southeast side of DeShay County. As Barry said, there was a brief moment where the rotation looked to be a little bit stronger. We're northeast of Halley's where it is right now. Arkansas City is next, and then it will be on the Mississippi River and into Mississippi. McGee, if you happen to live in McGee or Dumas and you got an alert on your phone about a tornado warning, I think the circulation for you guys is well away from you. This is now past Halley and now moving right towards Arkansas City. Now, there are a few roads between the two places, and the area of rotation still looks to be pretty broad, Barry. I'd say it's worth a tornado warning, given how far away from the radar we are. County Road 67, where it intersects County Road 326 and 315, that is where I have the very broad area of rotation. Now, I'm basically showing you the entire area of rotation. The actual tornado, if there's one that occurs, would be a whole lot smaller and it's not as wide as the area of rotation that we're looking at, which when you're looking way up in a storm would be very wide, but down at the surface it's much, much smaller. So somewhere between County Road 67, County Road 326, and then over towards Arkansas Highway 4, we do have that area of strong rotation, and that's what we're watching for if it produces a brief tornado tornado. Remember, up towards Arkansas City, you've got still a couple of minutes to get in your tornado safe spot this warning, which is just the southeast corner, the far southeast corner of Deshay County. Expires at 3:45, but it's not going to be that long because this is moving very quickly. Let's see here. One of our anchors is saying she's getting some reports from Deshay County. Maybe perhaps, Barry, that we did have something occur down there. I'm looking at comments and I'm trying to get some information on that.
Okay, we can come back over to me.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this broad area of circulation there approaching Arkansas City. If you're anywhere there or along Highway 4, go ahead and get into that safe spot as this moves off to the northeast. And it has been moving very steadily. We kind of started to see something maybe east of Dumas, but as it moves, this is kind of a geography lesson for you here. There's Arkansas City in Arkansas. That's the Mississippi River, and the line for Mississippi moves way back to the west there. So it will move out into Mississippi, and then it will move technically back across Arkansas, the storm will, and we just hope that the circulation begins to subside. I think already it's questionable, but if you're anywhere within that area, just get into the interior part of your house as the storm passes by, and it could then affect this other small little area of Arkansas that sticks back out. It kind of, as the river meanders there, it could be in one state, another state, and then back in our state very briefly before it moves on off to the east. So here's what's happening with it. I will show you just the radar depiction of it. Boy, you couldn't tell anything if you just looked at that. But the National Weather Service just thinks that this is a strong enough storm. It may be tapping into something. That is the tornado warning. There's still the tornado warning down into Ashley County, Wilmot, and I see nothing down there. Chico County, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning for this whole line that's coming through. But for now, I don't see anything, and it has been raining there for a while now, as has been the case up to the north, and that doesn't prevent from some storms from trying to rotate. But I think it's really having a limiting effect, and boy, that's great news. It just may not be a complete deterrent toward tornadoes forming. So we'll see what happens with these storms, but again, this is not going to be an all afternoon long thing. It's going to be a fairly brief threat, and then it's all going to go away. And boy, there's just a lot of rain starting to break out in advance, even
Barry,
some heavier rain.
We're getting
Chico
several
County.
reports of a tornado that occurred there in southeast Deshay County with this storm.
Yeah.
So I'm working to find more information on that.
So you're saying just to the east of Dumas?
Yeah, or near Halley, back towards the southwest of where the storm was that we had a tornado. So I'm working to get more information on that. The active circulation now is approaching Arkansas City.
Yeah.
And again, these tornadoes generally today have been very brief. Remain in your tornado safe spot at least for another little bit before this gets across the river and then eventually into Mississippi. But I think these reports are coming from the further towards the southwest. And again, these are just early reports. They still have to be verified, but at least for now, we'll take it as something that has happened, a possible tornado down there. So thankfully, on this scan, it does not look like it is as strong as it was 5 to 7 minutes ago, but still a very strong area of rotation that's, again, getting very close to the state line, now getting right over Arkansas Highway 4 and Arkansas City. Mm-hmm. Still don't have any news from the Weather Service. And again, even if you're not getting a tornado, you're likely getting some strong winds embedded within this line that continues to race off towards the northeast. Places that are all clear back towards US 65, I think Dermott, McGee, all clear from this line. It's now on the east side of the highway. And it's really not going to be much longer at all before this thing tries to jump the Mississippi River. But still, pretty broad area of rotation, strong rotation there, right over Arkansas Highway 4 in Arkansas City. So remember, we're looking at a pretty broad area of rotation, but the tornado, if there's one, would be much smaller somewhere within that rotation, and it could actually rotate around in that area of rotation. So 3:12 p.m., Barry, we're getting close, but still an immediate threat for the next few minutes.
I'm going to go back. I think I see on the velocity scan, even though it's a long way away, this was earlier. Again, this was at 3:02, and we're at 3:13 right now. This is an area that was, I think, for just briefly, that's probably, if indeed this did touch down, that's where it was. I'll go back even one scan before that. You can see it starting to have some rotation just on the east side of Dumas right there, and then moving quickly across Highway 65, and then it doesn't look as pronounced as it did. As far as debris is concerned with this, I'm going to go back in time a little bit as well. I'll go back to that 3:04. Maybe something there, but it's certainly not clear. And maybe another little debris dropout right there from whatever happened there on the south side of Arkansas City. I'm speculating, but it looks at least possible that occurred, and then could be a little bit of debris. But this storm right now, velocity-wise, would be around Arkansas City, and then going to be moving out over those farmland kind of peninsulas out on into the Mississippi River very, very quickly, and it will be out of our state. And then the only other storm that we'll be looking at would be those storms that'll be moving eventually down through Chico County and off to the east, but a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect there. We're going to stay with this one until it does indeed cross over the Mississippi River, and if we get any more information, or if you have any more information, contact us via social media, or if you have any photos or video, you can always at KATV.com/chime in. And they're now issuing a severe thunderstorm warning out in advance of all of this for the storm that's moving through. But yeah, you can see radar-wise, that storm, I think, James, is crossing the river right now. And looking down the line, I don't see any other signs of velocity.
Yeah, hopefully if there was a tornado in Deshay County, it was very short-lived. It was down, went right back up. We've seen that a couple of times. It looks like the Little Rock radar having some trouble. But still 2 tornado warnings in the state. Ashley, far south Ashley County, still under a warning, but with no extension to that warning, I don't think they're going to be extending it or too worried about it. The area of rotation in Arkansas is near Arkansas City, is now about to cross the Mississippi River. So your threat is just a few minutes away from being over. And Barry, looks like the Weather Service office across the state line has opted not to continue the tornado warning, but is issuing a giant severe thunderstorm warning. So that tells me maybe the tornado potential has dropped just a little bit. Arkansas City, the heavy rain is about to subside. It's in the process of doing so. The worst of this storm is now right over the Mississippi River. And very soon, I'm not sure, other than maybe a house here or there, there's not a whole lot right on the river right here towards the northeast of Arkansas City. But this will be on the Mississippi side very soon.
National Weather Service in Little Rock says they think that the radar beam is shooting up, again, because of the curvature of the Earth curving away, but the beam going straight at about 11,000 feet on this storm. And they think most of the rotation is perhaps below that height. So we're not getting a great picture of it there with this storm. But it's a very unstable atmosphere. There's a lot of turn in the atmosphere, a lot of spin in the atmosphere. And so that's kind of why they issued that. And I think we may have seen something on the lowest scans of this. You get the velocity reading, though. You see something there. And near Arkansas City. We haven't had a new scan in a little while, but I guess it's just to the northeast of Arkansas City right now. So moving over into that area of Mississippi, and then for maybe another 1 minute might cross over that remote area of Arkansas on off to the northeast of there. But it appears to me that we don't really have much going on. There is another storm, James. I'm going to just go down a little bit into Chico County and look at this storm in northwestern Chico County. It's been raining there for quite some time, but I don't know if you've seen that at all.
Yeah, I've been watching it, and I haven't really noticed any very strong rotation along the line that's coming into Chico County. So that's a good sign. Hopefully this is starting to wind down. I think National Weather Service in Jackson just kind of forgotten. They issued a tornado warning for Ashley County.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an immediate threat with that right now. So Chico County is under a severe thunderstorm warning, but that's just covering the line of storms as it's moving out of these areas further towards the west. And it's been raining across this county for a long time. Of course, we've seen a couple of tornadoes today occur in areas where it's been raining. It just makes it a little bit less favorable. The storm that went through Arkansas City now, Barry, it was very close to getting into Mississippi. So this warning will not be in effect for a whole lot longer. And the threat to Arkansas City, I think, is rapidly dropping. So hopefully nothing occurred as that area of rotation came through there. Still have rotation with it, but now it's getting close to, that's a Utah. And you may be surprised to know, even on the Mississippi side of the river, that's technically Arkansas, because the river changes its curves over time. And so you actually have some Arkansas zip codes on the Mississippi side of the river and vice versa along the river with the Arkansas and the Mississippi River. So that's Utah. That's on the Mississippi side of the river, and the circulation's getting very close to that, and now is moving away from Arkansas City. So good news on that front. I'm continuing to look to see if there was any damage report from Deshay County. Of course, could have had something earlier north of Dumas, but on this last round, it was mainly Halley up to Arkansas City. That's where this latest storm has gone through.
Hey, James, I think we need to maybe just very briefly watch the storm down into Chico County, north of Lake Village. There's a little bit of wind blowing out there, but there is a little something there. And it's only going to be in Arkansas for another 2 minutes or 3, but I don't know that there is anything there. It doesn't look very impressive from the Jackson radar site, but that is a severe thunderstorm warned storm from the Little Rock radar. And again, we're right in between where the Little Rock and Jackson radar kind of overlap right there. But that has maybe pulsed up just
a hair.
A touch.
Yeah, it sure has.
And so crossing, if you're just north of Lake Village along the highway there, along 65, just watch this storm. And again, there's only about 1.5 miles or 2 miles that it'll be over into Mississippi. But I'm going to say there's a little wind trying to bow out with that storm. There could be a little lowering of the cloud base, even though that is not tornado warned. We just want to err on the side of caution. I just want to make you aware of it, really. But certainly there could be some wind along with that. And it looks like a fairly strong storm with heavy, heavy rainfall for sure, so you wouldn't see anything. But just kind of stay in the interior of your house, away from exterior walls and windows if you are in the vicinity of this storm. Again, on the north side of Lake Village. And we'll look for one more scan, and we're not going to stay with this. Yeah, even the next scan there doesn't look as pronounced. It's just kind of wind, I think, bowing out from this storm. So for right now, we only have one. No, we don't have any more tornado warnings within the state, or at least we don't have any where there are actual storms within.
They forgot about that.
These storms are out of Ashley County. So for now, we have no tornado warnings within the state. We're going to send it back to programming and just continue to watch Chico County. Be aware on the north side of town, there's the line of storms that's moving through, and it does not look like a rotating area. And we'll have much more, James will have much more on the potential for a brief touchdown there in southern Deshay County and also southeastern Lincoln County. Any other thoughts before we leave, James?
No, we're almost done with severe weather. Some light snow is falling in North Arkansas, flurries mainly. I've gotten reports from Springdale, Bentonville, could see some more later on tonight. But as soon as this crosses the river, all our attention goes into the possible storm headed our way Thursday, Friday. I think at least part of the state could see some snow later this week.
All right, let's send you back to programming for right now. Chico County, we're still watching, and James will have much more coming up tonight at 5 o'clock.
With all that buzz.